my first tag video in 2021. I really just need to get into filming some more videos because I've kind of been a little bit like uninspired on what I want to film exactly. Ever since my Best in Beauty ended, I've just kind of taken a little bit of a breather just because like my Best in Beauty is a lot to film. But today I really want to film this video. I did see this video tag on just looking at my makeup, but it actually looks pretty damn good. So I saw this video on Andrea Mattiliano's channel, and this tag was created by Kelly Gooch and Jenna Frose. I will leave them both linked below. I know who Kelly Gooch is, and I actually really like her channel. I do watch her from time to time. But out of all these YouTubers, I do watch Andrea Mattiliano the most. I love her content, and I really enjoy her videos. So I did see this on her channel. So I really wanted to do it. I thought it was a really fun tag to do. So let's go ahead and get started. There's about 14 questions. So number one, if you could only use one high-end brand, what would it be? So I kind of automatically knew which brand that I would choose because it's the brand that I repurchase the most from when it comes to Sephora or any other high-end brand. I really don't find myself repurchasing from any other brand or keeping me interested in the brand besides Fenty Beauty. I really love a lot of their products, but I am going to mention two brands in this video because another one is just one that I know I have staple products from and I probably could not live without them. But as far as Fenty Beauty goes, they release just as they release a lot of products that I'm always like going to be interested in. Like they always keep it interesting. They always keep it fun. And they don't like overwhelm you with new launches. They don't always like try to go after your bag all the time. They really just think about like what products they want to launch, what products they think that people are interested in. And they're always trendy and always keeping up with the trends and not trying to overwhelm your bank account. So there are a lot of products that I love from Fenty Beauty, but I don't love everything from the line. I really love her lip products. Her lip products are probably my like favorite high-end products I've used pretty much ever. Besides MAC, of course. I am going to mention three brands. I always have three answers to every question. But as far as like complexion products go, I'm not in love with her foundation. I like it, but I don't love it. I do love her concealer way more. I think the Fenty Beauty concealer is amazing. That's one of my favorite concealers. Her mascara is amazing, but her eyeshadows aren't that great, to be honest. I am actually going to be selling the eyeshadow palette that I got from her because I just don't love it. The formula is not that good, and the price is a little bit up there for 6 eyeshadows. And then, I like her cheek products, I like her blushes, and her highlighters are great. Not really the Diamond Veil ones, but more so like the duos, like the Kilowatt Freestyle highlighter duos are great. The formula is great in there. But other than that, like I wouldn't say like everything, and I really love the primer as well. The primer is really good. But as far as a brand that I would say, or two brands that I would say that I could count on staple products would be Urban Decay and MAC. Now, I know MAC, actually both of them have kind of fallen off quite a lot. Like Urban Decay used to be the trendy brand. Like they were the edgy brand. Now I feel like they've become way more mainstream and pretty boring, to be honest. I don't remember the last time I've really picked up anything from Urban Decay. The only thing that I've recently picked up that I really fell in love with was the Urban Decay Lash Freak. This became like my favorite mascara pretty much ever. But other than that, they haven't really released pretty much anything that has piqued my interest. But if I had to say a brand that I know I could count on a wide spectrum of great products, I love their base products. Their concealers are bomb. They're my favorite high-end concealers. I absolutely love every concealer I try from them. They're just amazing. I love their mascaras. I love their eyeliners. I love their lipsticks. I love their blushes. They need to come out with some new blushes because those After Dark blushes or Afterglow blushes were amazing, and they need to come out with some more highlights. Like, if they re-released or rebranded or just, released more blushes and highlights, then I feel like they would be a little bit more interesting. Like, I'm really surprised that they haven't released any blushes in a while. So, yeah, it's a little bit weird to me. And then the third one would be MAC. Now, I know MAC has kind of fallen off a lot of people's radar. They're really not like the front runners in the makeup industry anymore. I feel like there's more and more indie brands that are competing with these high-end makeup brands that are a little bit more affordable, and you get more bang for your buck, and you get like this amazing pigment that you expect to get from high-end brands because you're paying a higher price tag. But that with MAC, I've always felt like MAC is like pretty mid-range. Like, some products are pretty expensive, and then some products are like mid-range prices that I feel like is, good for like the average, like, teenage girl or teenage boy that wants to start out with makeup. I feel like MAC is a great brand to start out with. I feel like MAC has been a lot of people's starter brand because, it's MAC. And you can pretty much get everything you could possibly need to start doing makeup at MAC. So I would say, like, I really could not live without MAC. I mean, I have lived without them because I've found a lot of alternatives, but when it comes to a high-end brand that I really love, I would say MAC as well. I know that they've fallen off and they've been pretty controversial in the past, but you gotta rep the OG. Like, MAC is the OG. So, okay, number 2. What's the most underrated high-end brand? Okay, so for me, I would say the most underrated high-end brand, not necessarily that I really purchase from them too much at all anymore, but I would say a pretty underrated high-end brand would be Becca Cosmetics. And the reason why I say that, like, Becca, Bite, and Stila were like the underdogs in Sephora. I feel like they were the up-and-coming cool brands where everyone and their mom was trying Becca's Shimmering Skin Perfectors, but everybody was trying Bite Beauty's lipsticks, saying how amazing they were because they were a food grade company, and everybody was like, oh my god, this is amazing, this is so different. And the lipsticks are phenomenal. And then with Stila, everyone, there's not one person that I knew that did not try the Magnificent Metal liquid eyeshadows. And I feel like even though Stila hasn't really come out with anything consistent or fun or interesting, really, they're a pretty consistent brand. And I feel like they are underrated because nobody really knows what they're doing anymore. It's like, like maybe just, like some of these brands, like they can't really, like, you can only do things so much before they become repetitive because, yes, a lot of things in the makeup industry have been done. It's very hard to come out with new, interesting products that people haven't seen before because, like what, and then like, you have to keep up with the trends of that year, and trends can repeat. But I would say out of the 3, I would say Becca always had like a wide spectrum of good products. They were very consistent in their launches, and now I just feel like they kind of come out with products to draw you in rather than being like really good. And I feel like that really had to do with, oh, and I have one more brand that actually I love that I feel like is very underrated. But Becca, I would say, besides the Shimmering Skin Perfectors, like, what if they really come out with, like, their blushes were great, but then I feel like their blush formula kind of changed and they don't really have the same staple blushes anymore. And they really have, like, since they got bought by Estee Lauder, I just don't feel like they're the same brand anymore. So I really feel like they should go back to, like, the old school, like, products that we all loved. And I know that they have to do new and interesting things to keep up with trends, but at the same time, it's like, what are you doing? Like, same thing with Stila. With Bite, I feel like they are doing a really good job at keeping people's interest and, releasing products besides lipsticks because that's new for their brand because they are a lipstick brand. But I think that the products that they're releasing to expand their line have been very interesting. So I am keeping an eye out still on Bite. I am intrigued on trying most of their products that they come out with now because I think that they're interesting. But I would say the one that is the most underrated to me would be Milk Makeup. Now, I know that there are some products from Milk that like blow up, like the Milk Makeup Kush Mascara or the Hydro Grip Primer. Like those were like huge. But other than that, I feel like they have a solid line. And usually everything that I try from Milk, I pretty much end up loving. I love their liquid eyeshadows, the eye pigment eyeshadows. Oh my god, I recommend those to everyone. If you need a liquid eyeshadow that will not budge and you need something that will last all day, that is flipping amazing. They are phenomenal. I also love their primer. I love their stick foundation is great. I haven't tried their concealer yet, but I am interested in trying it at some point. I kind of wish they would release like a hydrating one at some point, but overall, their highlights are amazing. Their lip products are amazing. So good. So I think that they are very underrated because no one talks about the highlights. No one talks about the lip products. I'm like, they have solid products. And besides Fenty Beauty, Milk Makeup is definitely the other brand that I keep on repurchasing from because I'm interested in their products. Okay, number 3. What is the most overrated high-end brand? I don't think they're as overrated as they used to be, but I would say the most overrated high-end brand is Hourglass. Now, I would say like Natasha Denona, Pat McGrath, they're pretty up there, but I feel like for Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath, you're really investing in something that is very super special because with Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona, at least when you purchase them, you're going to expect that quality for the price. I mean, it is very overpriced, but I think that if you are deciding to invest in their products, I think that their products are great and you won't be disappointed. Like, I don't think you would think it would be a waste of money. Like, everybody's opinion is different, but out of, everyone that I've seen try these brands, most people are happy with Natasha Denona and Pat McGrath. With Hourglass, I would say it's overpriced and overrated, but it's not as overrated now, but I feel like before it was very overrated because people would constantly rave about their blushes, about their foundations, about their ambient lighting powders, and now it's like, what do they have to offer that's not $50 or more? I feel like it's so overpriced and they are kind of just like losing people's interest because they need to lower their prices a little bit for what they give you because the fact that a bronzer is freaking $50, like, are people really going to spend that right now, especially in a pandemic? Like, I understand, like, that there's brands like Giorgio Armani that I spend money on or Pat McGrath, but at the same time, like, you expect that because it's a luxury brand. And I know Hourglass is a luxury brand, but it's like, these brands, like, have the name because I'm just like, Hourglass, like, why is it that they charge this much money for their products? Even Dior has a more affordable line than Hourglass. The Backstage line is actually not as bad. And, like, everything's, like, $40 or even less. I think that's a pretty decently priced line. So I feel like Hourglass needs to release like some kind of line like that to appeal to a different audience because they can't keep on trying to go after like the high-end luxury buyers when they need to stop discriminating to people that want to try their products. So and then overrated, I would definitely say Charlotte Tilbury would be another one. Again, I feel like Charlotte Tilbury is very overpriced, but they're also very overrated as well. I feel like she's just ran with the Pillow Talk and she just will not stop. At least the Pillow Talk line is good. At least it's not the orgasm line. Like NARS, what are you doing? Like, can we not with the super orgasms and the orgasm and this and that? Like, can we, like, do we have to think about that every single time we put makeup on? Like, I feel like that ship has sailed. Like, can we move on and like, release, like, a different collection? Like, a Madly collection? Oh, my God, that'd be, like, my dream. But anyway, Frose. But with Charlotte Tilbury, her brand is just very overpriced. And I feel like the reason why it's overrated is because her packaging is really cheap. And I feel like not enough people say this, but I'm like, if I'm paying for a $34 lipstick, if I'm paying for a $50 highlighting palette, I expect the packaging to be a little bit better than freaking plastic. Like, when I bought the lipsticks, when I bought the Pillow Talk lipstick, I thought it was going to be a metal tube. Like, I thought it was going to be like a heavy tube like the YSL lipsticks that I have. It's freaking plastic, like painted plastic. So that's why I'm just like kind of done with Charlotte Tilbury. There have been a few things that have piqued my interest, but then I'm like, it's just too expensive. Like, why do I need to spend that money? So I'm just like, no. Okay, number 4. But the Pillow Talk lipstick is amazing. I would say if you try anything from her line, the Pillow Talk lipstick is #1 lipstick in America for a reason. Her formula is fantastic. Okay, number 4. What is your favorite high-end product under $50? I would say 2. One is my Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation. I absolutely freaking love that foundation. It is amazing and it's a good price. I think it's like $28 to $30, so it's not too expensive. Or maybe it's like $30. I love that foundation. It's amazing. Cannot live without it. It's just phenomenal. And then the other one I would say would be my Urban Decay Honey palette. I can't remember the last time I actually bought a high-end eyeshadow palette since that palette because I haven't. That's the last high-end palette that I bought, but I'm so glad that I did. This is like the same answer that Andrea Mattiliano gave in her video, but like there really isn't like too many products like from high-end that I couldn't live without now because I have found so many different alternatives. But I would say the Anastasia foundation, the Kogendo foundation is pretty damn amazing, but it is so expensive, but I absolutely love how it makes my skin every single time I wear it. I'm wearing it today and I love it. And then the Urban Decay Honey palette is just amazing. It's such a beautiful palette, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. Okay, number 5. What is a hidden gem from the high-end category that no one talks about? I would say probably the Milk Makeup Eye Pigments. I can't really think of anything else that would be like a hidden gem that I would be like, oh, you absolutely need this in your life. And most of the other products that I would mention or what I've picked up recently, quite a bit of people have talked about it or I've heard about it from another person. So I would say the eye pigments are something that I feel like everybody needs to try. They are amazing, but I can't really think of anything else. Hold on one second. I'm sticking with my answer because I just went through all my drawers and I'm like, there really is nothing else that like I'm thinking that you really like need in your life. So I would say those. They're just fantastic. Okay, number 6, what is your favorite high-end foundation? I pretty much answered it already. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation and the Kogendo Foundation are my 2 favorite high-end foundations ever. They are amazing. The Anastasia Foundation, it's luminous without looking overly shiny. It just makes your skin look phenomenal. And it just gives you the most beautiful coverage without it being like heavy. But it covers your skin so beautifully. So I love that foundation. And the Kogendo foundation is really pricey, but it makes my skin look amazing. I like the Pat McGrath too. It's really good, but this one I still love more. It's just like I can wear it for anything. I can wear it as my everyday foundation and it looks so skin-like. So I absolutely love that foundation. Okay, number 7. What products do you tend to buy at a high-end price point? I would say definitely foundations and eyeshadow palettes. Those would be the 2 products that I would say that I don't necessarily mind paying more because one, with a foundation, I know I'm going to use it. Unless a foundation does not work for me that is high-end, I will return it. I'm not going to keep it in my collection and waste $60. Like, there's no reason for me to do that. I can go back to Sephora and exchange it. I know that means that they end up not being able to sell it, and it's kind of a waste of product. But at the same time, if I'm exchanging it for something else, then they're still making money off of me. So Sephora doesn't need that $40 as much as I do if I straight up return it. So, but yeah, foundations are definitely something that I do like trying and splurging on. Usually I wait until the VIB sale though, so I can at least get 20% off, but I've spent the money on the Kogendo, I've spent the money on the Giorgio Armani, and I've spent the money on the Pat McGrath. So I will splurge on a foundation here and there. I'll only do it like once or twice a year though when the VIB sale's rolling around. I do usually most of the time like trying a foundation. when the VIP sale rolls around. And then as far as eyeshadow palettes, I would say, you know, the most expensive palettes in my collection are my Natasha Denona. But Melt is not inexpensive either, so I also have a couple of Melt palettes as well. I'm actually wearing my Waiting Room palette today. And then Huda would be like the other one that's like pretty up there in price, but I didn't spend my money on the one that I have. But as far as, you know, the most expensive palette besides my Viseart, which are the ones that I've spent money on myself, would be the Viseart Warm Neutral Mattes and the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette are like the two that I splurged on. And then the other two would be the two Melt palettes that I have, because Melt palettes are $60, so they're not cheap. So yeah, those would be the two products that I would say that I would spend the money to splurge on. If I have any other products that are like high end, usually most of the time, or if it's like an expensive product like a Tom Ford lipstick, I have a gift card to use to buy that. I won't spend my own money on it. Okay, number 8. What high-end brand do you think is overpriced? I pretty much answered it already, but I would say Tom Ford. It's definitely the most overpriced to me, because at least with Pat McGrath and Natasha Denona, you're going to get a crap ton of products for like buying like an $100 palette, like the Natasha Denona Gold palette. At least you get a 15-pan eyeshadow palette. And then with the bigger palettes, at least you get like 30 eyeshadows. I mean, it's ridiculous how much it is, but at the same time, like with Tom Ford quads, they're like $70, $75. The same thing with Charlotte Tilbury quads. They're freaking $55. When with Charlotte Tilbury's bigger palettes are $75. So I'm like, why is it you wouldn't make your quads like $40 and make your bigger eyeshadow palettes like $60 or $65? I feel like that would be a little bit more approachable. But the fact that you're making them $75, and then she also has 6-pan ones that are like half of the size of the bigger palettes. Those are $55 too. It's like, why is it you're charging the same? You're charging like $2 more for those when the quads are like $53 and the 6-pan eyeshadow palettes are $55 or something. It's like, why is it only $2 more? Like, why are the quads so expensive? So, and then the same thing with Pat McGrath's quads. Her quads are like $50, $60, and then her 6-pan eyeshadows are $65 or like $60, and then her bigger palettes are $125. And it's like, why would I pay for $65 for less than half of the product that you get in the bigger palette? So that's how they get you to buy the bigger one. But with Natasha Denona, at least she's made 15-pan palettes now that are $65. So I think that's a little bit more worth your money than spending $65 on a Pat McGrath quad or a Charlotte Tilbury quad. So I think all these brands are overpriced. And the Tom Ford quads are like $75 to $80. I'm like, I'm not spending $75 on a freaking quad. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, I don't care who he is. I wouldn't spend that on any brand. I don't care if it's Tom Ford. I'm not paying that. So, okay, number 9. An Hourglass, definitely 100% overpriced. What is your favorite high-end limited edition product? I would say my favorite limited edition product would be the Jaclyn Hill face palette that she released. I absolutely loved that palette. I don't really go for limited edition products anymore, but that was when I was, you know, on the limited edition bandwagon, and that is definitely my favorite limited edition product. It's such a good palette. I really wish she would have released those blushes individually because they're amazing. I love the blushes in there. But of course, they ended up releasing Champagne Pop and Prosecco Pop as individual highlights. I mean, Champagne Pop became a permanent highlight anyway, but I'm so glad that I ended up picking up the palette. So I have those blushes and I didn't miss out on them. Like, that's the only reason why I would feel like I would miss out. So, but yeah, that's definitely my favorite. Okay, number 10. What is the best high-end eyeshadow formula? I would definitely say Natasha Denona and Urban Decay and Melt. Those are definitely my top 3. Again, like, I'm always and Pat McGrath. Oh my God, I've fallen in love with the Pat McGrath palette that Debbie got me for Christmas. I absolutely love it. I've been using it here and there. I've been trying to use it as much as I can. Sometimes I can't use it all the time, but when I do, it is stunning. But I would say out of the ones that I spent my money on, it would be Natasha Denona, because Natasha Denona, there's like just something about her formula. I mean, it's not like I have like the super special palettes, but when I use them, I don't really have to think about blending. I don't really have to think about my look too much. They just work. The mattes are great and the shimmers are beautiful. So I definitely say Natasha Denona. And then Urban Decay, I feel like is such an easy formula to work with. I love the Naked palettes. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's quite a few Naked haters out there, but the Cherry palette and the Honey palette is the best palette they've ever done. And that palette is impeccable quality. I absolutely love that palette. And just out of any like high-end brand that I purchase from the most consistently when it comes to eyeshadow palettes, it would be Urban Decay. And then Melt. Melt is kind of up and down with their formula, but when you get a good Melt palette, it is amazing. Like the Rust palette, I absolutely love it. It's such an amazing fall everyday palette. And then the Waiting Room palette, the pigment is phenomenal. So I would say those three, because I would consider Melt a high-end brand. Any brand that's in Sephora, I consider a high-end brand. Number 11, what is the worst high-end eyeshadow formula? This is so easy for me to answer. It would definitely be, I mean, I don't know if I would say Tarte or not, because Tarte is not as bad as Too Faced. So I would definitely say Too Faced would be the worst eyeshadow formula when it comes to high-end. I don't know what Too Faced is doing anymore, to be honest. Like, I mean, I haven't been on the Too Faced bandwagon for, I would say, like 2 or 3 years now. It's just crazy how they used to be my favorite brand, and now I literally could care less about them anymore. Like, when the whole peach palette Christmas debacle happened, I was pretty much finished with them after that point anyway. I mean, I had gotten my palette on the first launch, but after the whole Christmas fiasco of them like promising false, and they were doing false advertising for saying that you were going to get the palette by Christmas and half the people didn't, I was just so turned off from the brand after that. And there's just been so many different controversial things that have come out with them that I'm just like, I would rather stick with Becca than if Becca ever releases anything I'm interested in. But since like I don't have to spend the coin because I haven't really released anything I'm interested in, or I would support Marc Jacobs over because I love Marc Jacobs. But usually I can find Marc Jacobs at Marshall's for like half price. So, but with Too Faced, like I've heard that their Christmas palettes are just awful now. Like every year they just get worse and worse. I think the one that I got like back in like 2016 was like when they actually cared more about the quality than the cute packaging. But now I'm just like, no, just no. And then with Tarte, I did like their formula. I've only ever tried the Tartelette and Bloom palette from them. I've never tried any updated palettes from them. It's not like they've really released any palettes that I've been interested in remotely. But again, I much rather support indie brands over these high-end brands that like I don't need to buy Too Faced or Tarte if I don't support Too Faced anymore anyway. So, okay. Number 12. High-end brand you used to love but aren't crazy about anymore. Again, I would say Too Faced, but I would say Too Faced, Kat Von D, Tarte, and probably Hourglass. Not that I was ever really in love with Hourglass. And then Becca. So I would say those 5 brands. I'm like, and Stila. So there's definitely a lot of brands that I feel like that could do like more fun, innovative products. I just feel like they need like a new creative director or something. And I feel like it could really like, because these brands, like they have the funds, they have the ability to change up their brand. They're multi-billion-dollar brands. Becca's a billion-dollar brand and so is Too Faced. So, but Too Faced, I just would not have any interest in it anyway because I don't support the company anymore. But with Kat Von D, I'm glad that they rebranded. I'm kind of thinking about trying some of her rebranded products, not gonna lie. They do look interesting to me. So I am thinking I'm going to try them at some point because I'm pretty much going to declutter all of my old Kat Von D lipsticks. They're just too old now. So I kind of want to replace them with some new products from her line. I am interested in those. Because she's not even I don't think she's really getting any money from it anymore. So I wouldn't mind purchasing from it. And then I would say Lime Crime too. I used to freaking love Lime Crime, but they're so controversial and they still haven't been able to get away from all the controversy in the past. But I used to feel like they released such fun, edgy, innovative products, and now I feel like, again, they're not really interesting to me anymore. I don't even remember the last products I picked up from them was their lip pops, and that was back in like May. So I kind of wrote them off too, and I haven't really purchased anything from them. So that's what I would say. I had a lot of answers for that question. Okay. Number 13, high-end product you didn't expect to like but totally wowed you. That's kind of a hard one. I don't really like go for that. I mean, there are some products that have really just impressed me, and I used to not like love them, but now I'm just like, I really love them. And I have to think about which products those would be. Just give me one. Okay, so I went through some of my products, and I would say like another brand that I even forgot to mention that some of their products are really good is Smashbox. I feel like, again, they fall under the radar all the time and they kind of get pushed to the side. But some of their cheek products and their lippy products are really, really good. I got the Casey Holmes highlighting palette from Marshalls, and I was surprised how much I liked their highlighting formula. Their highlighters are beautiful, so that definitely surprised me and wowed me. Then I would say the Jouer Hidden Gems, Rose Cut Gems palette, I think it's called, or Hidden Gems palette, whatever it is. That palette is amazing. I saw so many negative reviews on it, and then I tried it myself, and I'm like, why does this palette get so much hate? It's such a good palette. So I use that constantly. I love it. I've been using that a ton this past month, and it's such a good palette. So I don't know why I get so much hate because it's so good. And then I would say Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes. Like, I was like, oh, she's just so overhyped. I don't know if I'm going to love her eyeshadows. And I was like, okay, damn, I love her eyeshadows. So, and then the same thing with Pat McGrath. Again, I was like, oh, what's the hype about Pat McGrath? Why is like everybody in love with her brands? I mean, it's not like I haven't tried like other products from her, but every product that I've tried from her has wowed me. I love her gloss, I love her lipsticks, I love her concealer, I love her foundation, and now I love her eyeshadows. So I do want to do like another full-on I want to do like a full-on Pat McGrath look at some point. I'm kind of interested in picking up her mascara, and now she just released liquid lipstick, so I might pick up one of those too. But I probably have most of the products that I could do a full face with. I'm still interested in her highlight palette as well. If that goes on sale at some point, I'm going to pick it up. So, but I was kind of slowing down with highlights for a little while too, because I picked up a ton during Black Friday and even last month too. And I picked up 2 in my last haul. So yeah. So I would say those really wowed me. I was really, really impressed by all of those. And the Kogendo foundation really impressed me too. And I was like, great, it's like a $70 foundation and I freaking love it. I didn't think I was going to love it so much. Okay, and number 14, favorite high-end eyeshadow palette right now. I would definitely say the Melt Waiting Room palette is one of my favorites. But as far as like a staple go-to eyeshadow palette that I go back to every single Christmas season or winter season, I would say the Natasha Denona Gold palette. A lot of my answers are going to be repetitive in this video because there are definitely standout products that I've tried from high-end that like the rest of the products kind of are just like, I could live without them. But as far as Natasha Denona goes, it is worth trying. But the gold palette is beautiful. I know it's expensive. I got it with exchanging products, so I didn't really like have to pay for it. But I would say probably try one of her smaller palettes at some point. I'm kind of eyeing the bronze palette, not gonna lie, but I might not even pick that up until like fall of 2020. but I'm kind of thinking I might try another Natasha Denona palette this year. It's been like a year and a half since I've actually picked up a Natasha Denona palette. So I was good with some brands. So because I tried so many other brands. So yeah, that is it, you guys. I think those are all of my answers. And I also love the Honey palette and the Rust palette. Those are like my top 4 favorite high-end palettes, and the Sunrise palette. But I would say the Gold palette and the Waiting Room palette are like my 2 favorites right now. So yeah, that's it. I love you guys. Please like and subscribe. Follow me on my Instagram at CBW819. I hope I didn't forget any products. And then I would say the Lash Freak would be one that super impressed me that I didn't think I was gonna love, and I freaking love it. So yeah, that's it. So I will update you guys on any. Oh yeah, and the ABH primer. This is amazing. I love this guy. This is like the only primer I'm gonna purchase now, besides the Smashbox. But I'm so glad I finally branched out and tried another primer. So yeah, that's it. I love you guys. And if you guys do this tag, please let me know. I would love to hear your answers, and leave it in the comments below if you do end up doing it. I would love to see what you guys love, and if there's anything that I need to try. But yeah, that's it. Bye.